When was the last time Apple truly blew your mind? If you're thinking iPhone X, we have a problem. The company that once taught us to think different now seems to be thinking smaller. Apple is becoming the best at producing yet another shade of iPhone that no one really asked for. They have 1.8 billion devices in use and a $2.8 trillion valuation, but they're drifting towards what I call premium irrelevance, where they're trying to dominate market categories that no longer define the future. Here are 3 warning lights that are clearly flashing. iPhone's global smartphone share is down to just 17%, which is close to the 15% point where platforms start losing influence. Services revenue is growing at its slowest pace ever at just 14%. And the most damning, young developers now prefer building for AI platforms over iOS. Let's take a walk down the memory lane. In the Jobs era, Apple revolutionized personal tech, the iPod, the iPhone, all generating gross margins of 50 to 60%. Then came the Cook era, where the inventory days dropped from 30 to just 5 and margins stabilized at a healthy 42%. Fast forward to today, Apple is spending $21.9 billion annually on R&D, and yet their biggest innovation is a 3500 face computer. Meanwhile, iPhone's growth has also flatlined to 1 to 2%, which in terms is basically going backwards. Competitors are moving faster. Samsung files 32% more breakthrough patents, and the Vision Pro, it sells fewer units in a quarter than AirPods sells in just 2 days. And Siri, it still trails Google in AI queries. Like, hey Siri, please remind me why Apple is spending $3 billion on AI again. Using the VRIO framework, Apple's ecosystem is both its biggest weakness and its biggest asset. With switching costs averaging $1,200 per user, Apple locks in 1.8 billion customers, and that loyalty is profitable because 72 cents of every App Store dollar is pure profit. But that is also creating complacency. Why would any executive greenlight risky innovation, right? History has shown us how that ends. BlackBerry clung to keyboard profits, and Kodak invented digital cameras but kept protecting film rights. So let's decode these warning signs. 16% of the top app studios are diverting resources from iOS not to Android but to AI platforms. The EU's $1 billion annual DMA fine is just the start. Apple will be forced to open its walled garden, and that's the very thing that created those legendary 72% margins. Apple also has 5,000 AI specialists, whereas Google has 25,000. This is not a gap, but an existential crisis. So what's the irony here? The factors that made Apple invincible are now making it vulnerable. Let me show you where Apple can rewrite the rules. Their first option is automotive. With CarPlay in 79% of new cars, Apple can dominate the digital cockpit, not by making cars, but by making iOS the brain of every new vehicle. Imagine your car recognizing your Apple Watch biometrics to adjust your seats, your Siri preheating your car, and your AR windshield displays powered by your iPhone's chip. Option 2 is private AI. Apple's privacy brand is unmatched. Apple could offer what no one else can. That is AI that never leaves your device. So what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. Option 3 is health tech. Apple Watch already owns 34% of the new wearable market. With FDA clearance for arrhythmia alerts, it can turn itself into a regulated diagnostic tool that could unlock a $35 billion subscription market with margins up to 85%. This is a classic disruptive innovation where they enter from the low end before moving into clinical care. So why does health tech win? Health tech solves 3 problems at once. It unlocks new value from being a fitness gadget to an essential health monitor. It fits Apple's hardware's trust and privacy advantage, and it deepens the switching costs as well. So here's the revenue math. When 100 million watch users will pay $29 per month, that's $35 billion per year, which is more revenue than the iPad and Mac combined. This is Blue Ocean strategy in action, where Apple enters an uncontested space and leads on its own terms, not just to react to Meta or Google. How can it implement itself? So phase 1 is by acquiring Stability AI for on-device AI and by launching FDA-cleared Apple Health Basic Plus. Here's the phase 2, where they expand watch diagnostics to glucose, oxygen, and sleep disorders and launch full diabetes management system. The phase 3 is where they partner with insurance providers and launch Health Plus Premium, where AI powers early disease detection. Apple does not need to become the next Meta or Amazon, but it must evolve beyond the iPhone. The choice is clear here. Go all in on health tech within the 12 months and become the privacy AI leader before Google closes that gap as well. So with $165 billion in cash, Apple can afford to take this leap. The real question is, can it afford not to? Steve Jobs once rightly said, innovation distinguishes leaders from followers. The question is, which one will Apple choose to be?